Okay, I'll just summarize what the phenomenon is. Throughout the world, including parts of the UK, since at least 1954, animals known to be in perfect physical health are found dead with very peculiar injuries on and inside their bodies. The nature of the injuries is surgical and cannot be explained by animal predation. This has been confirmed by pathologists. Although thousands of cases worldwide are known about, no human being has ever been seen, caught, or arrested for mutilation incidents. Bright orange or white spheres of light are sometimes witnessed in the areas where animals are found.
It has become the rancher's nightmare. Cattle mysteriously mutilated in the middle of the night. Some appear to be surgically altered. Others resemble being cut open with lasers. Are these bovine mysteries easily explainable? Or is this evidence of an extraterrestrial existence? Since the 1970s, hundreds of cattle have been found dead in the western United States, horribly mutilated. While some maintain that the cattle are the victims of predators and scavengers, others believe that the cattle, like humans, are victims of alien abduction.
Ranchers have looked me straight in the eye and have told me about the beam of light that they saw come out of something up in the sky. They didn't know what it was.
The main things that have been reported with this are the UFO-type lights that appear and strange noises that people hear in the area.
Just hold them down there for a little bit.
Tom Miller and his family have worked this Colorado ranch for 3 generations. There isn't much Tom doesn't know about rearing cattle. But recently, some strange things have been happening to his animals. One day, Tom finds one of his cows has died. On a cattle ranch, that's not unusual.
First, I thought it just died naturally. And then I got closer to it and I could see it wasn't natural. The eyes were gone, the tongue was gone, the ears were gone, the sex organs were cut out. It's just kind of weird.
He notifies the local sheriff, who comes out to take a look. But there's nothing he can do. The case is shelved, but it remains a disturbing mystery.
I guess one of the strangest things is the laser cuts. Why is there no blood? How come body parts aren't strung around?
In 50 years of farming, Tom has never seen anything like this. It would be highly unusual for a predator to consume gallons of the animal's blood, but leave the carcass intact. Strangely, farmers all over the world are reporting similar mutilations.
The Dyatlov Pass Incident. Russia, 1959. The mysterious fate of 9 hikers who perished in the middle of a high-difficulty trek, in conditions that reached -30 degrees Celsius, remains a mystery to this day. The details, which are mostly based on diaries of those involved as well as records from Soviet investigators, are chilling. On the night of February 2, 1959, members of the party apparently ripped their tent open from the inside and wandered into the tundra wearing nothing but what they wore to bed. 3 weeks later, 5 bodies were found, some hundreds of meters down a slope from the original camp. It took 2 more months for investigators to find the other 4 bodies, which, curiously, were partially clothed in articles belonging to the earlier discovered dead. Tests of those clothes found high levels of radiation. Despite that, and a heavy internal trauma, including fractured skulls and broken ribs, suffered by some members of the party, Russian investigators reported they could not find evidence of foul play, and quickly shut the case. Soviet investigators at the time determined only that a compelling unknown force had caused their deaths. When official investigators arrived, they noted that the tents appeared cut apart from within, and found footprints from 8 or 9 people leaving the tents and heading off downslope, Some of this group had broken bones and terrible internal injuries, but, strangely, no external wounds, not even scratches on the skin. And stranger still, odd bits of their clothing contain higher than normal levels of radiation. Indeed, post-mortem examinations of 9 bodies threw up a string of bewildering anomalies. Why were some fully clothed, but others nearly naked? Most disconcerting of all was Lyudmila Dubinina's body, which was missing her tongue and eyes.
Are human beings alone on planet Earth? Or is it possible aliens are living among us?
If anyone on this planet knew of extraterrestrials interacting with us, it would have to be our world leaders. And they're not telling us.
Some believe mankind's greatest encounter may have ended in a pact bartering human lives with an extraterrestrial race. A pact allegedly executed by none other than the President of the United States. Unsealed case file, the Presidential Alien Pact. Palm Springs, California. In 1954, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower lands for a winter holiday. During the trip, he mysteriously disappears on the night of February 20th, igniting a firestorm of media speculation. But witnesses who came forward in later decades claim that during this time, Eisenhower visited Edwards Air Force Base, where he met with an alien race.
Purported witnesses to this event claimed that Eisenhower was actually asked there by the extraterrestrials in order to make some sort of deal.
The aliens, said to be at this meeting, were a race known to ufologists as the Pleiadians, frequently described as taller and larger than regular humans. They are known for their shockingly blonde hair and clear eyes, earning them the nickname Nordics.
And this meeting was very much tied in with an effort by these extraterrestrials to persuade the US government not to go ahead with the development of thermonuclear weapons.
But just 10 days after the alleged meeting took place, the US's Bravo hydrogen bomb was detonated in Bikini Atoll. It appeared no treaty to end atomic weapons was reached.
So another path was chosen, meeting with other groups of extraterrestrials who were not as opposed to the United States developing nuclear weapons.
The second meeting between Eisenhower and extraterrestrials took place at the Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, where he met with the Greys, and this time, a treaty would be reached.
Their alleged deal, they would provide advanced technology far beyond human capabilities. But in exchange, the Greys would be given the freedom to abduct humans for DNA and experimentation. But most frightening is the supposed location of these experiments, an alleged underground military laboratory known as the Dulce Base.
For over 30 years, top-secret projects have been said to take place under the Archuleta Mesa. This area is where humans and extraterrestrials actually work together on a variety of projects, anything from technology to bioengineering.
The existence of the Dulce Base has been confirmed for decades by documents such as the Blue Planet Project and whistleblowers such as former government geologist Phil Schneider.
I was involved in building a base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground.
Reports state that the base is 7 levels deep. But the deepest levels are allegedly only used by alien researchers for their experiments on human beings.
and it is literally a chamber of horrors. Human body parts are floating in this blue liquid gas. Human beings are being literally cloned. Human body parts being used, recombined with alien body parts. No human beings allowed.
The tales are so horrifying that the area has become known as Nightmare Hall. But while this location may be one of the most frightening places aliens could live on planet Earth, evidence shows we may find a greater alien threat slithering beneath our feet, one that has taken the form of human beings. Humans were once thought to be the only intelligent life form on planet Earth. But some experts believe that aliens exist among us and may be working alongside the U.S. government in an underground alien facility known as the Dulce Base.
1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since.
In terms of the background of Phil, this might prove very interesting. Phil, in his own way, worked his way up through the ranks as a geologist and became involved with building underground bases and the tube system for the underground transportation system, and eventually graduated into a NATO position. It was all over the world, and he knew how many underground bases were built in the U.S. as well as worldwide. He used to tell me 131 in the U.S. and about 1,400 worldwide, of the type we described, which was 1 to 3 miles underground, anywhere from 1/2 to 3 cubic miles of earth were removed by nuclear detonation, and to create this huge cavern, because earth is the rock is porous, and if you choose the right earth materials, the right rock material, which he was an expert at, you had to use certain types of rock material to build the underground base, or you just forgot it. It had to be certain layered rocks, certain structures, which I am not familiar with, but he was. And you would build these underground bases. They were all over the world. They've been built by other nations also. And part of this led into his NATO operations, but the thing where he left was most interesting. He was online for, and I said 2.5, 3 years retirement for NATO, formal retirement, with his salary at that time in NATO had gone up to something like $500,000 a year. This is a salary. And his retirement was slated to be $1 million per year retirement. He was an extremely important person at a very high level, had high level clearances, but he said what changed his mind and he decided to walk out on everything was the fact that he was invited to attend some UN meetings, the very classified ones, which were not held in New York at the UN terminal and the UN buildings, but in a deep underground military base. And they said there was a facility which had all of the layout exactly like they have in the UN headquarters in New York, underground in this base. He never told me where it was. But there was an extra row of chairs, or a ring table and a row of chairs above the rest, which was not extant in the usual settings for the UN, for the meetings. Everybody would go in there, including spectators were there, himself and some other people. Everybody would sit down and be waiting, and then the final group came in, would sit at this upper tier of chairs. They were all tall grays, extraterrestrials, 7-footers.
Like the ones he shot in Dulce?
I don't know if he ever shot a 7-footer. He didn't tell me particularly whether it was a 7-footer or not, but he said the ones that came in on the UN meeting were the 7-footers, and they dictated policy to the United Nations. He attended not one but 2 meetings of this type, and he says after the second meeting, he says, I am working for the wrong people. Had a conference that day with some of his NATO friends in the NATO Department of Geology, I believe is what he called it. There's a whole group of about 40 of them. They all decided they wanted no more of any part of it. They walked out on retirement salaries, everything. All 40 walked out the same day. and wiped out the NATO's Department of Geology.